All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to Live from Drew's House, another edition. My name is Drew Moholland. This is my wife, Sarah Conway. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm doing good, Drew. How are you?
Doing good. Trucking all along through quarantine.
Yeah.
I played golf this week. It's a little less. It's allowed now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're thrilled. You're kind of real thrilled to get me out of the house, actually.
I really don't mind that you go play golf.
You encouraged me to leave.
Yeah.
I will say they were doing a very good job on the golf courses of social distancing. I was very pleased. I just went out with my buddy Joe and just the two of us. So we were doing good. I was pretty pleased the whole time. And we were really conscious of it, social distancing and all that stuff. And I was looking around the whole course and it seemed like everybody was. It was good. They had the pro shop closed and they were just, the guy was out, the head pro, his name's James, good guy, for those of you who are interested. Came out to the parking lot and was kind of giving speeches about rules and all that stuff. I thought it was very well organized.
Good.
So that is good. For all those you that were concerned about the golfing, I think they've done a good job from what I can see so far. So be smart out there, people. You seen any ridiculous acts in recent weeks?
I really don't get out of the house that much, so I don't see anything.
It is true.
I see a lot of people walking by. I feel like people travel to our neighborhood to walk around because it's like a quiet neighborhood. I see a lot of people I don't never seen before.
I agree. People are walking machines out there. I saw one couple, they will go unnamed, mostly because I don't know their names, did like 6 laps around. It's not like a quick little loop. It's a fairly, what do you think the loop is around our neighborhood?
Just the 2 loops?
Yeah.
It's a half mile.
Oh, you know for sure?
Yeah.
She's a big runner.
Well, if you go the 2 loops and then out to the main street, it's a mile exactly.
So they probably did like 3 miles looping around 6 times, huh?
Yeah.
So my math tells me.
Kind of boring though.
Well,
maybe I like different scenery.
Maybe they're talking to each other or something.
Yeah. Yes,
oh man. What else is new? What happened this week? Saturday Night Live wrapped up. People still watching that? I think it's kind of fascinating, the at-home editions.
I haven't found it to be all that funny.
That is one big problem with it. I kind of agree. That's kind of fascinating in its own right, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you would think you have a week to come up with a skit and you're a funny person.
Well, calling out the cast.
Yeah, that was me. No, there was no need for that.
And, maybe one of them might find this show here and really hate on us. Because we have been.
I mean, we're not funny.
I think we're funny. We might be being too cruel to them, but we have mentioned almost every show. You would think with a full week, you could be funnier.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then again, it's tough with no audience too. Comedians play off of audiences.
Yeah, that's true.
What else do we need to do? We need to wish my cousin Patrick congratulations on a big graduation down in coastal Carolina, Myrtle Beach area there. They're all, it's kind of tough on, we've heard a lot about the high school seniors and how, tough it is, no sports, no proms, all that stuff. It's not easy on the college senior either, who doesn't get to walk and get that diploma.
Yeah.
It's kind of lame.
Yeah, historic though, that they have, they did their whole graduation ceremony.
Yeah.
From quarantine. Who else? Not a lot of people are going to get to say that, I guess.
Yeah. Hopefully they're the only class, hopefully.
Yeah.
It was historic. They did the online graduation. I got to watch a little bit of that. They put a picture up there and a quick little bio and that sort of thing. So that was cool. So congratulations to cousin Patrick. He had as a graduation speaker, he had the House of Cards president, right-hand man there. Was it Michael Kelly? Is that the actor's name?
I can't remember his name, but I know I can picture.
I get it wrong. Let's check in a moment. I think I got it right, but I actually haven't watched that part of it yet. I got to go back and do it, but I heard he was very, very good. So he was also a very good actor on that show, House of Cards, which I liked. Didn't finish. Got a little old to me, but yeah, that was. I heard it was good. So we'll go back and do it. I always like the graduation speeches. Do you remember yours? Yours was an interesting story. You were supposed to have Tony Blair. Remember that?
No.
You don't remember that?
Who did we end up having?
You had somebody who was really interesting, actually. Sometimes that's how it goes. Some of the big cancels and the fill-in who's not as big of a name is really great, but it was like an independent filmmaker. And I forget what he even produced, but he had great stories, I remember. I thought he was fantastic. You need to look that up and get me that information by the time the show's over.
You have an assignment?
That's your project. Can you do it? Can you pull it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had who did I have? I had Larry Lucchino, the Red Sox. Who is part of the ownership now. He's I think he pretty much manages Pawtucket these days, or does the ownership duties at Pawtucket Red Sox. But Larry Lucchino, he was fine.
Yeah.
I found your guy to be more interesting because I went to your graduation back in the day at the Dunkin' Donuts Center.
The only thing I remember is going the wrong way.
You went the wrong way?
Yeah, well, I went a long way, all the way around, and everyone made fun of me.
To go get your diploma, you walked the wrong way?
No, I got my diploma, and then getting back to my seat, I went like all the way around the stadium, took this long around.
I don't recall that. That's funny. I don't remember making fun of you for that.
My sisters did.
Is there a video of that?
I don't, probably.
Sarah's long walk. All right, here's an interesting show. We got bringing in somebody who has battled, although I think she's going to tell us, it was kind of a weird, it wasn't like a hospitalization deal, but somebody who tested positive for COVID-19. Taylor Morgan is going to join us, coming straight off a negative test. So she's all clear. So she should be in excellent spirits here today. We'll see what the first thing she did was after testing negative. But I also want to know like what it was like, because I think this is interesting. We're hearing a lot of the stories about all the really bad symptoms. I could tell you a bunch of symptoms of what's going on in the hospitals. I think I want to know like how she got tested and what just made her get tested, because I know she didn't go to a hospital. She just kind of went home and quarantined and has been quarantined for like 2 weeks. So maybe longer. I think it was longer. So let's bring her in right now. Taylor Morgan. All right, Taylor Morgan joins us now from Holliston, Massachusetts. Thanks for coming in, Taylor. First of all, how you feeling?
Good. Feel
Cool.
great.
Feel great. It's good. You got the, so walk me through this here. What are you, like 24, 48 hours removed from getting a negative test?
Yes, 48.
48 hours. What was that news like?
I mean, the whole testing procedure is kind of anxiety provoking because you have to go in a tent and everything.
Yeah.
But I felt pretty good, so I kind of assumed that I was better, but you kind of don't know with this virus, you know?
Yeah. What was the, so what was the process like? So do you remember the date when you tested positive?
Yeah, I believe it was the 16th. I wasn't feeling well over the weekend and then completely lost my taste and smell, like completely. And as soon as that happened, I kind of self-quarantined from my parents. And then 2 days later, I went to the tents and I kind of just knew that I had it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You went to the what? What did you say? You went to the
The
tent?
tents.
Okay.
So when you go to the testing center, some places like have a drive up where they'll swab you. But I went to my local hospital. And so they like have you sit in a parking spot and then they come over and ask you like name, date of birth, give you a mask. And then you walk over to a heated tent where you have to sit and get some vitals done. And then they do the swab.
Wow. That's strange. What's the actual test like? Did you get the nose one or?
Yeah, it's really awful. It's called a nasopharyngeal. And so they actually stick it all the way up your nose that it goes like down your throat.
Ugh.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's awful.
I have heard it's awful. What does it like actually, is it just kind of gross or does it actually kind of hurt?
It's really uncomfortable. It's kind of like if you ever had to get a strep test as a kid, I'd prefer that.
Really?
Those aren't good,
Yeah, those
so.
definitely weren't good.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, that's unpleasant, but that's an interesting look into the testing experience. So that's what made you do it, was the loss of taste and smell. That's what got you in?
Yeah.
Were those
I usually have like a lot of sinus infections and things. So I kind of thought that it was just that, but I've never like complete loss of taste and smell. Like could not tell you if you sprayed perfume on me or anything.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good example because I know it's one of those things that like some people are like, I can't really taste that. I wonder if that's it. And then they're like, oh, okay, no, that's not it. This was like very distinct. It was cool
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
How about, were those these symptoms? Like, did you have anything else that came with it that,
So I had a little bit of like the shortness of breath
yeah.
and chest pain. And it's one of those things where like you have chest pain and then you panic that you have chest pain, so you have more chest pain.
Yeah.
But mine wasn't too bad. Like walking up and down the stairs, I would get out of breath, and like talking on the phone, it was kind of hard to have like a long conversation.
Really? You felt it even during phone conversations?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that tells you that the chest was definitely bothering you. How
Mm-hmm.
about, yeah. Is it like a different kind of chest pain than you've ever experienced? Because I've heard it's kind of like I don't know, is like cage rattling the wrong word? Like it's a kind of a unique kind of chest pain, right?
I think it's kind of different for everyone depending on like your lung capacity and whatnot. Like mine was more like central, like sternum pain, kind of like if you were hunched over for a long time and then you needed to stretch your chest out.
Yeah.
Was really my main concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're people who you're very athletic. So for you to have shortness of breath is kind of unique. You can.
Yeah, I felt like a wimp.
Feels like a wimp.
Yep.
Actually, on that note, I am curious, what was the first thing you did when you tested negative?
So I ran a mile.
You ran a mile?
Of course he did.
Right away?
I ran a mile. I got home and we aren't allowed to wear or go out in public without masks in my town, or else $300 fine. And that like includes running and biking and stuff. And so I made like a little track in my backyard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're just running circles around your backyard.
Yup.
That's a very funny visual for me, actually. So you tell people what you do too for a job, because obviously you've been out of that for a little bit. I'm sure that's tough as well.
Yeah, I'm a physical therapy assistant. And so it has been really weird because I'm all about like being with people and physical contact and helping people. And so to go 20 days without communicating like anybody or even being able to pet my dog is like a really weird thing.
I haven't even thought about that the whole time. I mean, we're like dog lovers, but you're right. You're isolated from the dog too.
Mm-hmm.
That's super hard,
Yeah,
man. What is quarantine life been like for somebody who's so active like you? I could see you going crazy at sometimes.
I actually did okay. I had to do radioactive iodine for my thyroid cancer treatment, and I had to be quarantined and isolated for 10 days. So my mom and I already had like a really good protocol, and I got Disney Plus and I watched all of Star Wars, and I just watched like every big movie marathon, and I knit like 12 scarves.
Wow.
Good for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is the second show in a row where we've had or at least, yeah, I think the second show in a row where we had Star Wars references from big Star Wars fans. So that's funny. All right, so you did okay with the quarantining. So it was 10 days when you when did you beat the cancer? That was what? It was fairly recently, 2 years, not even?
So I was diagnosed in 2013.
It was that long ago?
It was that long ago.
No.
I know.
So wow, okay.
I know.
Where has the time gone? And so were there any complications with that? I don't know if that's would that be considered like a past history or?
So there's still like a ruling out on a lot of things. I know that anybody who has any sort of like cardiopulmonary previous medical history is an increased risk, but they're still looking into other like subgroups of like hypothyroidism and immune diseases and whatnot. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. There's so much they don't know about this disease yet.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy thing. What were your parents dealing with it all? That must be tough on them.
Yeah.
My mom did well. We really, like, when I did my radioactive iodine, we had it down to a science. So I had my room and I had a bathroom. And then, like, if I needed to do dishes, they would go on the other side of the house and I would bring down my dishes and not touch anything. And, like, we kind of just, like, I could still do my laundry. And so my mom handled it really well. But my dad kind of freaked out a little bit, and he'll deny it completely. He tried to go and live at work, but he'd still come home to eat dinner and like take showers and stuff. So we were like, that doesn't count.
Wait a second. He actually quarantined himself at work, you think?
He tried to for 2 days. He needed 2 days, and then he came home.
Oh, that is too funny. So he removed himself, but he will deny it. That's funny. Okay.
Yeah, he'll 100% deny it.
what was the toughest part though? So you did well, but I know there's some moments. Everybody I hear in quarantine is like, there are those few minutes where you start to feel it and you're like, I got to get out of here. And I'm sure you had some of those moments. How did you calm yourself down after that and be like, it's okay, deep breaths?
So there's a lot of really good breathing techniques. A big issue that I was seeing at work before I was sick was secondary pneumonia. And so I'm just taking like things from work. Like I won't even lie, I would walk in place twice a day for like 10 minutes and like watch Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
And just like try and keep my body upright and like work on deep breathing and just like know that I'm doing everything that I can. You definitely don't want to count the days in isolation. I didn't count them until after, because if you tried to count 20 days of sitting by yourself, you'd definitely go crazy.
It's not a fun thing to keep track of.
No, but it definitely is scary to wake up and just like think about all the people who are fine, and then all of a sudden they have to go to the hospital and they are on like 15 liters of oxygen, which is a lot of oxygen to be on. So it is scary to wake up every day and be like, oh God, this is the day.
Were you, I mean, I know it, obviously when you lose the smell and the taste, it's probably part of your mind, especially being in, you work in that field, but I'm sure part of your mind goes, there's probably a good chance I have this, but it's going to be still somewhat surprising. Oh, okay, positive. Like I can imagine that being kind of a weird moment.
Yeah, I think like before I went in, I had heard a few people who lost their taste and smell. And like, as soon as I really truly lost it, which I found out because I can't really eat spicy food. And so I ate like a spoonful of sriracha and didn't have any effect.
That was the test?
That was my test where I was like, yeah, crap, I probably have this.
Yeah. All right. So you handled that pretty calmly. You were okay.
I was okay. I immediately bought Disney Plus.
First thing you did, Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. Yep. I stockpiled my room. I got myself all ready. Here we go.
I'm going to say that is your experience from the cancer kicking in. I think you're more well versed to handle this than most people, I would say. Unfortunately, yeah. That's right. Sarah, would you like to jump in with one? Sometimes I just keep talking and don't let Sarah jump in.
No worries.
So, were your parents like making you dinners and stuff and delivering them to you, or how was all that working?
So for us, we're really lucky that we have a shower bathroom upstairs and a shower bathroom downstairs. So we had like a little stool that was high enough so Tucker doesn't eat the food, but they would come and they'd put the food on the tray and then they'd go downstairs and then I'd get the food. Like I'd come out of my room and get the food. Sometimes I would sit at the top of the stairs and eat, and they would sit at the bottom of the stairs because that's the 6 feet. Yeah.
As sad as that is, it's pretty cute as well. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good, parents. Again, we're joined here by Taylor Morgan, coming off a COVID-19. So you said it was mid-April, so almost 3 weeks of quarantining.
Mm-hmm.
So you've already ran a mile. Was that are you taking it slowly? I know you probably want to go hike mountains, but.
Yeah, I hiked yesterday, but I did a little bit of a shorter loop.
All right. So we're already kind of attacking those things. Very good. When you get the positive test, I would think like you seem pretty not concerned about yourself. You already had Disney Plus, so you were fine.
Yeah.
I wonder like, is your first thing though, you kind of like look around and say, okay, have to be responsible now for like the rest of the world and everybody else. So then you're probably like very, almost strategizing where you're going to go, how you're going to get home. Is that like a real thought process? I'm sure you have to start thinking about everything from that point on. Yeah.
So I went and got my test and like came home and cleaned out my car, and, you're wiping down every surface every 4 seconds. They actually call you 24 to 72 hours later. So at least I was like in the comfort of my own home to be like, all right, time for an attack plan. But it's really important since it's like I could have just felt like I had a cold and not been responsible and then infected my parents or the people that I was hanging out with or my patients. So yeah, it's really important to kind of sit down and be like, all right, don't try and be a hero. Stay in your room.
And, as your parents too, I would think that maybe they're kind of trained from this from the 6-7 years ago with the cancer quarantining or what you did, but maybe I would think it's a lot of pressure on them too, because I would be like in the house if like you were quarantined. I would be like, don't walk in there. You can't do that. Like brain cramp and like forget about it. I think I'd lock all the doors. We'd be terrible. Like it has to be like more pressure on your parents too.
Yeah, so when I had to do my radioactive iodine, it's really the same standards because I had a Geiger counter test thing. And so like they'd stand 6 feet away and I would have radiation levels. So it's still the 6-foot perimeter. And when we went through all that, it definitely was a little bit stressful, you know, everything you touched, being near people. So it is really stressful to like first get those protocols in place. But as long as you literally just have to stay in your room. Just stay in your room.
It's a very simple deal.
Yep.
Sounds a lot easier than I'm sure it is, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure people are wondering here, since we've talked about it a couple of times. What's the radioactive iodine process like? Is that walk us through that a little bit? That must have been a tough experience.
It is definitely so it's another instance where I felt fine, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, hey, you have cancer," and like we have to do all this stuff, and it was like, "Yeah, all right." Yeah. So radioactive iodine, you go on a really strict diet for. I want to say I was on a diet for like a month and a half where it's like no salt, no soy, no eggs. But it's like you can't have chicken broth because they inject chicken, or you can't have chicken because they inject like chicken with broth which has salt. You can't have eggs because they feed the chickens iodine. You can't have milk because they wash the cow's udders with iodine. So it's like really nitpicky stuff. You're supposed to get all the iodine out of your body so that when you drink this radioactive iodine, all of the cancer cells are like, yes, iodine, let's do this. So I had to sit in a private room, it was like a closet. And there were a bunch of people in there, and they brought in this big glass cylinder with like a little shot in the middle of it because of the radiation. They put a straw in it, and then I started drinking it. They asked me what it tasted like, and then they all left. And it tasted like Kool-Aid, but it also tasted like pennies.
Oh.
I've never really eaten a penny, but like, have you ever smelled change? Like really gross change?
Yeah.
Is that what that is? Like iron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they try and like put a little Kool-Aid in it, and it just it's nasty.
The iron smell.
Yeah. And so from that, I had to stand in the middle of the room, and I had to hold a ruler, and they had to do a bunch of different like tests about distance for the Geiger counter. To check how high my like levels were. I wasn't allowed to be with anybody for more than an hour because you'd start to feel the effects of the radioactive iodine. I wasn't too sick because I had my whole thyroid taken out, so I kind of just like felt like poo for a few days. But people who do have their thyroids would immediately start to feel the effects.
Wow. So needless to say, hopefully this next decade can be a little bit better from here on out.
I think that the universe owes me some time.
I would think so. Let's do coffee mugs here. I'll tell you, we usually do better, Taylor, with the coffee mugs. We're kind of boring today. This is like our house set.
Both of them are sets.
This is the house set edition of the coffee mug.
Yeah.
Cheers.
All right, I brought my A game. I got this for my dad because he loves cookies.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That is
You can fit milk in it, and it holds your cookies.
That is
I think I laughed for 10 minutes when I first bought this for him.
I've never seen a cup like that before. That is awesome.
It's large. You could fit half an avocado in here because I tried.
That may take the look at Mookie just appeared again. Okay, he's excited about the coffee mug. Somebody say cookies. That may take the cake for coffee mug game so far.
Oh, definitely. That's the best one we've had.
Yeah, we've had a few good ones too. Not these. I kind of knew, in all honesty, I kind of knew you were going to bring your A game. I just felt it. That's why I played we played the boring role today, and I knew you'd pick up the slack. So very good. Well, coffee cheers.
Cheers.
Virtual cheers. Did you get like exercise in quarantine? Because you're always doing stuff, as we've mentioned. You're an active person. Are you like sit-ups, climbing the walls? Like what's going on in that quarantine room?
Yoga. Don't you do a lot of yoga, Taylor?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of yoga. A big part of this from what I was learning at work, I just kind of did what we did for the patients, is that people want to overexert themselves. And that's when you start to have a lot more of the symptoms and you kind of fatigue quickly. So it's all about like pacing yourself. So I truly just like walked in place a bunch of times a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
How big is your room, if you don't mind me asking?
It's mad small.
She's just pacing in circles.
It's real small. I just put my laptop on my dresser. I'm not super great with dimensions, but it's probably like 7 feet across by like 8. It's pretty small.
So you're walking in place in this small little room would you try to count the lapses? Like, all right, let's do 100 laps.
No, I just set a timer, or I'd like put on a TV show. Like I started with 2 times a day for 10 minutes and kind of just worked up from there. Because you get real tired. Like I would walk for 10 minutes and be like, why am I being such a little wimp? Like I usually can walk much further than this.
We got the chest thing happening.
Yeah.
Man, well, that's kind of crazy. And what was the, why don't we rank shows? What was your favorite shows in quarantine?
Oh, I don't know. I really watched, like, I don't think there wasn't a moment that I was awake that my laptop was not going.
You're literally streaming for 3 weeks.
Well, because, you're not really with anybody. So at least it's like talking to you.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, there must be like I think Sarah has joked around about she was made for quarantine. She says this a lot. She's like, and really, that car has not been driven in the driveway there, so she hasn't left.
But I talk to you. It's not like I don't have anyone to talk to.
That's my point. I mean, we joke about being in quarantine, but that is the social dynamics of not seeing people. That can be mentally straining, I think.
Yeah, it's a huge bummer.
Yeah. Did you? And you actually said you just downloaded Zoom today.
Yeah.
Is that your first time doing that?
Zoom, yeah.
How did you get through this without Zoom? I feel like everybody in the world was using Zoom.
I mean, some of my friends are still working because they are also like in the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I talked to some people on the phone, but it's kind of hard when you like can't really breathe. You don't really want to have conversations with people.
Okay.
So I I texted people a lot. People checked in, but yeah, I didn't really do a lot of like video time. You also don't really want to video people when you look like you're like dead.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, you either you recovered quickly here you looked great. Did you start to feel stronger towards the back end of it, where you're like in the final week, like, you know what, I must be getting towards I mean, I know you said a lot of it was just, taste and smell, but did the chest stuff start to go away in that final week where you're like, you know what, negative test is coming, I can feel it?
Yeah. My work requires like at least 72 hours of feeling symptom free before getting a negative test to go back. I actually had to do double negative test, but fortunately it was only one nose swab, and then they're doing a spit test.
Yeah.
So just as like some sort of study. So I like got my taste and smell back, which was great because I'm still drinking coffee every day. Like, even though I couldn't taste it.
Yeah.
Trying to keep the ritual.
It's gonna be buzzing in quarantine, right?
Yeah. Gotta keep some sort of normal. But yeah, I pretty much feel back to my normal self. My cardio is a little less, but that's what happens when you lay around for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, you'll be back there soon enough. What would be your one advice to the COVID-19 patient, or I guess anybody with anything that has to hunker down for 2-3 weeks at a time and not see anybody and just entertain themselves? How do you get through it?
So I probably have a few things. One, don't count the days. Don't.
That's an interesting one to me.
Don't count the days. You just have to focus one day at a time. Because if you start counting the days, like 20 days is a long time. It's a long time. But if I was sitting here and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been 12 days, like that's not productive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely would try and remain calm. There are a lot of breathing techniques that are out online right now that I've learned from school and like people are sharing. And so, making sure that you're fully breathing. A lot of the chest pain comes from doing like breathing incorrectly, like chest breathing instead of belly breathing. So just like laying down, doing deep breaths, and just like knowing that you have some control.
Yeah.
Another big thing is sleep on your stomach.
Yeah, we keep hearing that.
Yeah, sleep on your stomach because it helps open up your lungs a ton. And I'm already a stomach sleeper, so that was real easy.
Did they tell you that when you go in for the test and stuff? They're like, okay, you're positive. This is what you need to do.
No, they just told me. So I got a phone call from the hospital, and I got a phone call from my doctor, and I got a phone call from the town, all in like 2 hours.
So they were all panicking. They were like, ah.
Well, so now I'm like a CDC like statistic, so they got to go through the rundown. But they're all just like, don't touch anybody, don't go anywhere. But you know, one woman was like, just watch a lot of comedies, and that's really it.
The advice was watch comedies. That's what she gave you.
Yeah, she said watch a lot of comedies. If there's a hobby that you'd like to learn, maybe do that, or knit a ton.
So they're just like anything you can do to stay away from other humans.
Yes. Don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a lot of counting on the news. I guess if you're
yeah, some of it's too much.
Yeah. Well, that is interesting. The counting the days thing, I feel like I would so be a days counter. I'd be like, that's 3.
Yeah, it's like hard not to, I think.
Do you think you knew like on day 12, like I know you weren't counting, but you were like, feels like 12, gotta be 12.
Yeah, I mean, like I roughly knew like 2 weeks is 2 weeks, but I wouldn't sit there and be like, I can't believe this is day 3. That is.
I'd say day 3 because I'd be losing myself at day 3. That's why I wouldn't handle it as well as you. I think you're obviously a pro at it, unfortunately. You'd probably be better than I would, Sarah. I'd be terrible.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't do well in quarantine.
You'd have to lock me in.
He's going to work and everything right now, and he's still having a hard time. He's not quarantined. He's still struggling.
I'm a people person.
Yeah, it's even worse when you're a people person.
Yeah.
Not that you two aren't. It's just, I don't know.
I'm not.
I miss my guys. I miss my golf rounds. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
I have a question though. So what about your parents? They didn't have any symptoms or anything. Did they have to get tested just because they were in contact with you?
That's a good question.
So it's like, I don't know what they're doing about testing, only because I know some people who have felt sick and they're not like sick enough to go get testing. So the town of Holliston said that my parents needed to stay in the house until the end of April. I think that I got my test results the 16th, and so they had to stay until the 30th. Of course, my dad didn't do that. But they're fine. They're asymptomatic. They're great.
So you must have caught it pretty soon then to be able to keep it from them with something that's so contagious.
Yeah, because I'm still going to work, I was essential personnel. I would come home and we would basically like clean. And my parents followed me around with like bleach.
You must have a really clean room.
Yeah, it is pretty clean.
Yeah. Even I would clean with 3 weeks of quarantine. I think.
Even you.
And your dad probably, he's probably like, I got to tell you, I don't need to do this because I'm not even living at the house.
Yup.
I'm just kidding, but the living at work is pretty funny, actually.
Yeah.
Did you have one more? I'm sorry.
I have another question.
I'm sorry, she's rolling today.
No, that's fine. I love it.
Did they do any like contact tracing? Like, do you know where you got it? Do you think it was work?
It definitely was work. I was working with COVID positive people.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So not too many questions there.
100%.
What are the dynamics of that too? Because we've had some other people on that do the same thing, whether it be hospitals or variety of roles. But that is like, well, I find it to be courageous. First of all, I wouldn't want to be like, all right, there, let's go and do what we got to do for the day. I'd be keeping my distance. But so one, it's courageous, but two, it's going to be like, I think it would be hard to do your job knowing that that person has like the most contagious virus that we've seen in, however long. Yeah,
I mean, basically since SARS.
Yeah.
It is really scary, but it's also like, it's real. Like my function specifically for PTA is to get people up and moving. And so the more you can move, like, the less oxygen you need to be put on in the hospital rooms, and like just knowing that every time we go in there to help them out, we're helping them get a little better so they can go home.
Yeah.
So that's always like a good way to go in and be like, this person hasn't seen anybody. This person hasn't talked to anybody. Like they're all isolated and alone. And like, I can at least go in for 20 minutes and just like physically be there to help them.
Yeah. See, all you frontline people are like that. You all have the, that outstanding desire and all you care about is helping others. But from your perspective, be selfish for 1 second. You have to think about it at some point. Like, it's a good chance this person might give it to me, right?
Yeah, I mean, it did.
Yep, it turns out. All right. Yeah. So I guess maybe you don't think in the past as much since it actually happened to you. Makes sense. Oh, very good. Crazy.
Yeah.
You good?
So, well, yeah. I guess I had another question.
No, keep going.
Keep going.
I don't know if it's a question, more of a comment, but we think about all like the nurses who work in healthcare and everything. But what did you say? What was your position again? Your
physical therapy assistant.
Therapist.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going in and you're having them like do exercises and things like that are going to help them get better.
Yeah. And a lot of our function is like, getting people in and out of bed, being really close to people. If you go in and they have to go to the bathroom, you have to go and help them. So it's a lot of like direct, like physical contact.
Mm.
There's a lot of different roles that you hear doctors and nurses, but there's a lot of different roles. There's like nursing assistants and patient care assistants who go in and like bathe the patients. And like, there's a lot of people who need to be in contact.
That's a good point. I think that's why, I think the news is trying to make that, frontline workers and medical workers, because you're right. It's not just doctors and nurses. There's a whole lot of people that are putting their lives on the line. I mean, there's, if you get this thing, it could take your life, as we've all come to know here. So we are happy to hear that you finally had the negative test there, Taylor. Thank you for all the good work. You going to get right back on the job, or did it keep you away for a while? How does this play out?
So I gave myself the weekend. I figured I deserved a few days to hang out. So I'll call tomorrow and kind of go from there and head back to work.
They'll give you a game plan.
Yeah.
That's cool. And I'm sure you see all sorts of great work from coworkers and stuff on a daily basis too. That knowing you must have hated having to be in quarantine while they continue to do the.
Yes.
She rolls her eyes and says, "Absolutely." That's probably one of the toughest parts. But thank you for all you do, and we're just very happy to hear that you're doing much better and can get back to a little bit of normalcy as we live through a pandemic.
The new normal.
Want to show your coffee mug one more time here before we get out of here?
It's
because
the best one.
I think it's the best one.
In case you're wondering, I got it from Uncommon Goods.
Oh, wait. No, I've heard of it.
And that was a gift for Dad, you said.
Yep.
Very good. That's very, and he you stole it from him for now, but yeah.
Oh yeah, but he loves it.
Very good. All right, Taylor Morgan, thank you. Sorry to bring you back into this room that you've been quarantined in for 3 weeks to do the interview, but get back out there and hike a mountain or whatever it is you're doing.
Sounds good. Thanks.
We'll see you soon. Taylor Morgan. All right. How about that? Taylor Morgan. God, what a health battle for her over the last, what did she say, 2013? So that was like
gone through everything.
Felt like a couple-year battle, right? With I don't know how long it was. My dates, I mean, really am terrible. Like, I can't remember any dates.
I thought it was more recent than that, too.
I forgot how old.
Time just kind of flies.
I forgot how old I was the other day, too. That's just the sort of things that are happening these days, I guess. But yeah, it did feel more recently. But man, over the last decade, the two real serious, the cancer and then the COVID.
Yeah.
Decade ahead would be better for Taylor, I'm sure. She's pretty cool, calm, and collective.
Yeah, she seemed to handle the whole thing really well. I think better than we would.
I'm going to go ahead and say yes,
much better.
Better than we would. But I thought some good advice, though. You had good questions, too, today. You had some stuff that I wouldn't think of. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. The dog thing, too. She told us before off the air that the dog kind of would try to keep sneaking into the room, which is cute. Dogs always want to be there for you, don't they?
I know. I don't think we would be able to keep the dogs out of our room. It would be actually a nightmare, I think.
Yeah, it would be very hard. But you have to, because I know what she's saying, though, because, I mean, there's been some instances of the pets and animals testing positive, but really I think it's about like the virus living on the animal, right?
Yeah, if you touch them or they touch your stuff.
Yeah. Oh man,
Pass it on.
that's gotta be. She made it seem easy. I will tell you, she made the whole thing sound much easier than. I mean, it's easier than she. It's harder than she made it sound. I think we all know that. But she's definitely made for it a little more than most people. So thank you, Taylor Morgan. Thank you all for another edition of Live from Drew's house, our kitchen. So bananas in the background today. See those?
Yep. The bananas made it in.
The bananas made it in. I got those bananas.
You did?
Banana pancakes.
We had banana pancakes the other day.
They were delicious. Fantastic. She makes the best banana pancakes. Like I used to love pancakes, and now she does the vegan thing. So what is it? Milk?
Oh, it's a bit.
Bunch of stuff you can't have usually in pancakes.
Well, if anyone wants the recipe, let me know. It's a long recipe.
But she has to make it with bananas. So now we have banana pancakes.
It's just there's no eggs. There's what else would be in pancakes?
Milk, right?
Milk. Yeah, there's no milk. Well, it's almond milk.
So you use almond milk.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm telling you, the banana pancakes, the best pancakes I've ever had.
They're pretty good.
I'm not even judging on like this is an okay vegan scale. I'm talking to you. They're the best pancakes. Okay. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Thank you.
Sarah Conway, Drew Moholland. This is Live from Drew's house, another edition. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you got some information. Stay safe, everybody. And thank you to the frontline staff. And we just learned, we try to say it that way, all the medical workers. We always say doctors, nurses, but as you heard there's a whole lot of people dealing with COVID patients in a whole lot of different ways. So we tip our hats to them, and really just great work out there. So we'll see you next time. Cheers, everybody. Live from Drew's house. Bye-bye.